So what I'll do is I'll boot this up and for you, and then we'll just go through it, and I'll stop it now and again and comment on these various statements uh, for your benefit. Okay, here we go.
That our enneatype is not who we are.
Right, right. Your Enneagram is not who you are. We agree with that statement. Real real you, this is real you. That's all home. That's the real you. And that the real you is just to get this whole thing started off on the right foot. The real you is your true self. She's calling it true self, or the real you. Uh, it's unborn existence shining as blissful consciousness. It's limitless. It doesn't. It's unborn, means it doesn't die. It's always present and it doesn't change. It's limitless. Limitless means it doesn't change, and it's not affected by anything that presents itself to you, the real you, your awareness, pure awareness. So let's move on.
Our enneatype is simply a pattern that our consciousness has become shaped into. And the more that we deepen, the more that we come in contact with that which is beyond our personality.
Now, Vedanta says you can't come in contact with what's beyond your personality. Why? Because you are already beyond your personality, and there's not two yous, a real you and a false you, or an Enneagram you. If there were two yous, how would you know which one was the real you? So there's only one you. So you can't get in contact with what you are because you are what you are already. So there's another way to quote unquote get in contact, and it's not the way she's talking about, I'm afraid. Well, let's go on. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt and see what she has to say.
Beyond our ego structure, bit by bit, the distortion and the lens that forms our enneatype gets more and more clear. And it's not a
Clear to whom? Clear to the Enneatype person, or clear to the real self? Clear to whom? Who's speaking here? Is the real self speaking here, or is this a person talking about is this an Enneagram type? In other words, she an Enneatype that is talking about the Enneatype. So let's see what more she has to say.
as though we stop being a particular enneatype, but the patterns that the Enneagram describe no longer are as solid or as dark, as substantial.
I'm not sure why it would matter whether they were solid or dark or substantial if they're not real. We say that the personality, the Enneatype or Enneagram type, she calls this Enneatype, the Enneatype is not real. So what does it matter if you're looking at a light, happy movie or a dark, ugly movie? What's the difference? They're just different plays of consciousness as it presents your past to you, right? The Enneatype is just your past outpicturing daily, moment to moment, all the time, with a stream of energies and images that are totally not you. We call the Enneagram you, or the one who's seeking to know the self, we call it the not self, not the real self.
in our consciousness. So one of the beauties of the Enneagram is that it can teach us about our lost perspectives on reality.
I'm not really sure why one would be interested in one's lost perspectives on reality, whatever that means. If they're lost, they're lost. What use is it? I think what she means here is just on your habitual ways of thinking. I'm not sure why anybody's interested in their habitual ways of thinking either, because those things are not basically under your control. Those just come up automatically as a result of your conditioning. Let's see.
That dimension has to do with the holy ideas, as they're called in the language of the Enneagram. It also can tell us a lot about what inner orientations are useful in our inner journey. And that has to do particularly with the virtues of the Enneagram. Also, as I've said, it's a very
Inner orientations means what? It just means all the different actions and thoughts and feelings and attitudes and behaviors that you present throughout the day. How real are those things? See, the way she's treating this here, as if these are real events. Now, if you take yourself to be your body and mind, yes, they are real for you. But that all that means is what? You don't know who you actually are or what you actually are. So here we are going down the past rabbit hole, looking at all the stuff that's happened to us and trying to like fix ourselves. Whereas this Enneagram, you can't be fixed because it's not real. And if there is a real you, and if you are the real you, then what? You can't fix it either because you're already perfect. So the very idea that you think there's something wrong with you is the problem. And that therein comes Vedanta, because Vedanta says there's nothing wrong with you, and we prove it to you. We reveal it to you as we speak. We don't talk about it as she's talking about the Enneagram and implying that it will lead you to the real you or not. Otherwise, why would she be talking about it if she didn't think this was a gateway to the real you? I mean, it may be like she believes that all roads lead to Rome, and all roads may lead to Rome, but all roads don't get you in the gate. You need the key to open the gate to get into Rome. Rome means to the real you, to the real self, and that would be what? Understanding that I am the real you and not this Enneagram you. Okay, let's go on with this.
Clear map of how the ego structure works in its 9 particular patterns.
This is real seductive. This idea is so seductive. People think that they're really complicated and they're really, complex and complicated. They're intrigued with it. They're fascinated by themselves as complicated, complex entities, and that fascination is what keeps them tied to the real you, when in fact they're not complicated at all. The Enneagram you, the personal you, the ego you is very simple. It's very basic. It's just a bunch of fears and desires. Fears for what? Desires for what? Desires for stuff. And what? Fears that I'll not get what I want in this life. So all of its strivings and all of its contacts are with objects that are meant to what? Remove fears and desires too numerous to mention. One more thing that struck me just as she was writing here. The opening scene was a better example, but this one's good. This woman, and God bless her. God bless her. You can tell she's a sincere, good woman, and obviously a do-gooder too. She wants to help people. But do you feel that there's a real you speaking there? Is that what the real you looks like when it's when it when it appears here? It's obviously not happy with her personality or her body or whatever it is. So, and she's depressed. Listen to her voice. There's no joy in it. She never smiles during this whole thing. She never smiles. She's like almost like a dead person walking. I mind you, I'm just analyzing. Just look at it yourself and see what you think.
It's one typology. There are many different typologies. There's the Jungian types, there's astrological types, and so on, all of which are looking at ourselves, looking at the human psyche from slightly different angles. So all are true, and each one addresses a particular nuance of human experience.
Here you are again. It's all nuances, little things, little details, slight behaviors, and so forth and so on. This is part of this idea of playing into this idea that you're a nuanced, complex, sophisticated, subtle character, you know, and that the old teachings, in other words, Vedanta particularly, don't apply anymore. That we need new teachings for the modern age because we're more sophisticated. On the basis of what, it's not clear, except, you know, maybe it's just, you know, on the basis of the idea that we have more complex technology, and so we think we're more complex, but we're actually not more complex at all. Anyway, it's just the idea of nuances. Why fooling around with the nuances? Because the real you's nature is bliss, it's joy, it's happiness, it's full of vitality and energy, understand? And it's satisfied with itself completely. You know, that's the real you is a perfectly satisfied self. And that's not something you're going to get by gaining objects, by having experiences. You're not going to get more satisfied by including spiritual experiences and intellectual experiences with archetypes and typologies and as you know, all this sort of stuff. So algorithms, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, let's finish this up.
The Enneagram, for many people, is one that can greatly support their inner journey.
Yeah, I suppose it can. And God bless it. It's all, you know, our view is that it's all good. Every bit of it's good. So this is serving some people and so forth and so on. But as far as actually self-realization and self-actual and the realization and the actualization of your real self, so that you're a vibrant, living, dynamic human being, facing life cheerfully and with great sense of purpose and gratitude. These modalities, that's another word, fancy word they like, have definitely come up short, but they may be helpful in the short run. Anyway, thank you for listening.